Welcome back to another episode of the Successful Driver Podcast. We're here in the Clear Simple Used Truck Buying Studio, and on Zoom, we have Mark Griffin from Old World Industries, an account executive there. Mark, thank you for spending a little bit of time with us today.
Of course. Thanks, Ken, for having me. Really happy to be here. Even though it is virtually,
I know, right? Well, like we have an extra chair here in the studio, and in different circumstances or something. Maybe you'd be here. We'd be sitting here having a conversation. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. We'd be having a coffee right now or something like that. But and maybe down the road we'll be able to do that. But I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us, virtually here, and it's exciting to talk to you. You're actually our first virtual guest in this studio space too, so this is a new experience for all of us here too as well. So, I do want to. We start this question off. We start every interview really with this. We want to learn a little bit about you, your story in the truck driver story, your story in the truck driving industry. So, Mark, just tell us a little about how you got into this industry and your background here.
Definitely. Well, I've been exposed to kind of the construction trucking business for a while now. I have family in the construction industry, demolition, concrete, and everything. So, I've been around the big rigs, around the excavators and the diggers and everything for as long as I can remember. I always knew I wanted to go into something that had to do with the automotive industry. Really have a passion for it. And, I had a friend who started working here with the Old World Industries and specifically the road trip programs as well. He was talking to me about it. It seemed like really good opportunity. So, fresh out of college, looking to start my career, I came over here and it's just been living the dream ever since,
So, how long have you been at Old World Industries now then?
About 2 years, coming up on 2 years now. So
nice, awesome.
A lot to learn in such a short amount of time, but
hey, no, I get it. So we always ask this question. We like to know this. You're in the trucking industry here. It's fun to get different perspectives from different angles and different pieces and parts of this big picture here in the trucking industry. What do you think makes a successful truck driver?
Definitely. Yeah. Well, I don't hold a CDL, so I can't talk specifically from behind the windshield there. But, from our perspective, the biggest thing that makes a successful driver is somebody who, is taking care of their equipment. The biggest thing we see is, if you take care of your equipment's going to take care of you. So when it comes to that, the biggest thing I like to think is, along the lines of like the preventative maintenance, really makes, a successful driver. Getting into a 6-month routine of checking your coolant levels, those inhibitor packages that are in that coolant, making sure everything that you're putting into your equipment is exactly what the OEM specifies. So whether that's Volvo, Mack, any of the other big companies there. And when you're doing that, I'd normally like to check for 3 specific things. Those would be the color of the coolant. That's typically red for any of those heavy duty coolants that you'd normally be putting into your engines there. There are a couple outliers, whether it might be pink or yellow, but that typical color is red. So, and then you also want to check for that clarity, make sure there's no impurities in there, make sure your coolant's running as clean as possible. If you're seeing any impurities in there, I'd say go get it checked out. There might be some issues there internally that need to get checked out. And then also check that freeze point. The worst thing that could probably happen is, you're up in the mountains and, you stop in for the night, you start the truck up in the morning, all your lines are frozen. I would check that. It's normally varying around the range of about -30 degrees Fahrenheit is what you're looking for there. And, you can use tools like a refractometer to check those, those temperatures. It'll give you a pretty accurate reading there. Coolant is probably the biggest problem, that you can run into there when it comes to maintenance, but also, when it comes to DEF as well, like making sure you're sourcing your DEF from a reputable source. You only want to use the highest grade materials when you're coming to DEF. So that's, your deionized water, really high quality, and then, that high quality urea as well. There's different grades. So you want to make sure that the stuff that you are sourcing, has the ISO 2241 certification and the API certification as well, because those lower grade materials over time, you're going to do some serious damage to your SCR. So in addition to those low grade materials, causing buildup, causing back pressure into the engine, and overall, shortening the lifespan of your equipment. So, when your truck's down, you can't really work, so.
So I don't think this is going to be a mystery. What's your role in the truck driver story?
Oh, hey, well, I mainly focus on coolant and DEF, if you couldn't tell. It's probably the most impactful thing, I like to think. So yeah, I mainly, I go out, I do trainings, I do informational meetings, vendor nights to make sure that, make is a very confusing topic because the coolant industry is, it can be all over the place. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to know. And I try to, make sure that I convey, the best options in the easiest way possible so that everyone can be informed. It gets crazy out there sometimes with those coolants, especially over, the past like 10, 15 years.
Oh yeah, man. No, for sure. For sure. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, this industry, you spend a lot of time talking about maintenance, and that's super important, and we get that every now and then here and there, but, what the value for a truck driver of making sure that they are maintaining their unit long-term, how valuable is it to make sure you're hitting those mile markers of maintenance, to make sure you're getting the life out of that truck? How valuable do you think that is?
Oh, definitely. It's extremely valuable, not only, monetarily, because, if your engine's not running correctly, that's downtime, that's labor costs to get that equipment fixed for you. And then on top of that as well, it's peace of mind, hitting those maintenance markers, although it is sort of tedious, at least, you're driving something that, will support you. And I think that's the biggest thing, just having that clear head going onto the road, knowing that like everything that you've done up to this point, make sure that you're safe, that your equipment's safe, and you get where you're going at the end of the day. That's definitely the biggest, most important thing.
One of the messages we get a lot, just from a big picture perspective, and I think everybody understands this, is especially as an owner operator, is treating this thing like a business. And you talk about maintenance. That's a piece that might get overlooked a little bit at times, but there's so much preventative maintenance that you can do to help keep yourself from some longer term issues for sure. And it sounds like Old World Industries is definitely one of the companies that presents some products that can help that.
Definitely. Yeah, no, we like to pride ourselves in the technologies that we provide, especially through the Road Choice program. We only like to give the best. We have great technologies. Most of them are meeting or exceeding those OEM specifications, to make sure that we're not only hitting that mark, but we're going above and beyond to make sure that everything that you're doing is to the best of its ability.
Nice. Yeah. So, the last couple of years have been wild, Mark, and it's been a crazy couple of years and a very disruptive, very disruptive time in the country. But, the industry is booming here. The trucking industry has been booming, and there's a lot of changes there. What kind of disruptions have you kind of seen from your perspective in this industry?
Definitely. Well, some of the, I would say the biggest like disruptors or trends in the industry that we're seeing right now is all of these major OEMs. So those those manufacturers are moving away from certain coolants and certain chemicals inside of those coolants that may be causing long-term damage. So we're seeing a lot of shift from a nitrided OAT technology, which is an organic acid technology. There's no solids in it. It's all chemical. So you don't have to deal with, and I'm sure the people who've been in the industry in a while will be familiar with a couple of these words here. But you're not going to have to worry about that scale. There's going to be no dropout of your inhibitor package. You won't deal with any of that green goo or gel in your systems. It really simplifies the process because as complicated as the technologies get, it's kind of like the more you know, the less you have to do. So, the better you're understanding what you're putting into your truck, you understand that the less maintenance you're going to have to do. You don't have to check it every 20,000 miles. You can check it every 6 months now, or there's a larger periods of time where that peace of mind comes into play. But yeah, back to the changes in the technologies. We're seeing a movement away from those nitrided OATs over to just a nitride-free technology. So those are just our OAT technologies, as well as a chemical called 2EH. It's been known to kind of reduce the life of any of the like those rubber gaskets, any of the head gaskets, basically anything that's meant to be elastic. It's been wearing the life down on those as well. So I believe there's only 2 OEMs on the market right now that still use an OAT or an NOAT as their factory fill. Most of them are moving towards towards that new technology. And it keeps your engine running smoother for longer. And removing those nitrites as well overall expands the lifespan of the coolant as well by, I believe, about 250,000 miles. So there's a big difference there as well in the maintenance schedule. Then,
how else is this last couple of years forced old world industries to kind of adapt and adjust? Like, has there been some things that have kind of forced you guys to change some things around how you do business the last couple of years?
Definitely. Oh, definitely. There's, obviously, the work from home has been the biggest change. Normally, our company and all of our teams would be very integrated together in the same building. But, big changes now. But, I haven't seen it really impact the business as a whole more than anything. It's actually kind of feels like we're working more as a conducive team nowadays. On top of that, we also see changes in the marketplace as well. I know if anybody's keeping up with the expansion in EV, like the electric vehicle market as well, there's a huge explosion in EV moving into the trucking industry as well. We've seen several companies come out with their own electric powered semi trucks, and those require different technologies than the likes of a combustion engine, anything diesel. So we're seeing movements in the coolant market towards like an EV based coolant as well. We want to be at the forefront of those emerging markets. And then also we're starting to see the introduction of 2 specific minerals. Any silicates and phosphates are actually being moved back into those OAT formulas as well. Across the globe, we're seeing improved aluminum and, like I said before, those elastometers, those rubber parts. We're starting to see an increase in protection from those 2 compounds as well. So, a lot of changes coming up in the industry. It feels like, you make 2 moves, but you're 1 move behind already because the new thing coming out. So, we always just want to make sure that, for our U.S. markets and our Canadian markets, as close to home as possible, that we're making sure that we're keeping up and competing to make sure that we're giving what we can to the owner operators, to those groups, to those bigger companies, everybody involved, we want to make sure it succeeds.
For sure. You guys have a webinar coming up with Old World or with Road Choice. You and Old World Industries, Road Choice have a webinar coming up here. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah. In 2 weeks' time, I believe that's the 29th of September, we have a webinar coming up to discuss some new technologies that we're actually bringing to the market. One of those specifically is our Road Choice. It's a nitride-free extended life coolant. We already have one on the market that is the OAT technology. This NF, the one that we have on the market right now is very robust inhibitor package. It'll get you to 1 million miles. There's no need for any top ups or extenders or maintenance or anything along those lines. But we see that the market isn't quite there yet, in certain applications for a package that's so robust. It's almost twice the size of a normal inhibitor package that we'd see in an OAT technology. So we want to release something that would be more readily available through the Road Choice program, and that is that NF technology. It has a slightly less robust inhibitor package, still provides the same level of protection, and with the use of an extender at around 600,000 miles, that coolant can easily be pushed to 1 million miles. So, same technologies, same everything. Just that inhibitor package again is just a little bit less robust.
Awesome. Well, we'll look forward to that. And Mark, I appreciate your time, man. It's been great talking to you. Appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us today.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I really appreciate it too. I just want to bring up one more topic before we head off here. The changes in the DEF market as well. I know we focus a lot on coolant here, but there's definitely some exciting changes coming there. Normally DEF, is seen as a commodity more than anything, as I touched on before, but past like making sure we're hitting all those certifications and specifications with the ISO and the API. We're starting to see some changes from, our neighbors across the pond there in Europe. They're starting to add a premium DEF option to their lineups. And that actually sets out to solve a really big problem that we see in the industry now, especially in the agricultural business and construction business, something that has, high hour, low mileage engines and on road as well, and these packages that they're offering inside of the DEF has been shown to reduce buildups and deposits in those SCR systems when used continuously, which is amazing because that's probably one of the biggest issues that we see with those SCRs is, you get that buildup, you get back pressure, you're shortening the lifespan of your engine, you're reducing your NPGs, and, across the board, it's a good commodity, it's a good fix, we're helping the environment with it, but, we're not helping ourselves at the end of the day. We run into a lot of problems with it when, it's not reaching an optimal temperature to be ran at. So this actually sets out to solve those problems. And with the continuous use, we don't see back pressure. We don't see those deposits building up in your systems. And overall, that extends the lifespan, saves you a little bit of money, saves you downtime. And, overall, again, it all comes back to that peace of mind where, you're driving down the road and you're not going to be aired out. You're not going to just get a flash of SCR errors and, your engine's going to want to shut down on the side of the road. This is there to prevent that. So it's something that we're really excited here at Old World specifically about, because we are actually the first people in the U.S. market to be able to provide something like this to the consumer. It's Blue DEF Platinum. It's available, from Old World and direct to the likes of the Volvo and Mack dealerships as well. So, it's we're very excited about it, and I'm sure we'll see the market catch up eventually. But for right now, we it's our pride and joy. It's something that we're extremely helpful to be able to help out the those owner operators, those customers, basically everybody affected by it can see an upside from using this product. So it's
Well, I'm glad you took a little bit of time to tell us about that. And it's really fun to see your passion about truck maintenance and going out and helping this wonderful industry. So Mark, thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with us today.
Definitely, Ken. I want to just, thanks again for, giving us the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. The pleasure was all ours. That's another episode of the Successful Driver Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, watching, wherever you're consuming this. Again, thanks to Mark Griffin with Old World Industries. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll catch you later.